Do you see people as all good or all bad, depending on whether they meet or don't meet your needs? Insights from Object Relations Therapy from my book, The Self-Analysis Workbook. You meet someone. Before long, an intimate relationship develops. You enter into it with beliefs about what should happen, hopes for the future, fears, expectations of your partner. What each of you may not be conscious of is that the relationship today will be deeply influenced by the very first relationship you entered into during the symbiotic phase of infancy. Memory traces from the first few months of life will be activated as you relate to your present intimate partner. Back in the symbiotic phase, mother functioned as an extension of you, in your mind, an undifferentiated self-representation or image, who by feeding you when you were hungry and meeting your other needs could help you to reduce inner tension, provide soothing so anxiety and other strong affects wouldn't be overwhelming. If your mother was sensitive to your needs, gave you good enough mothering, you developed the ability to trust in relationships today and grew to be able to internalize mother's soothing function and now can contain your own feelings. You don't have to look for self-soothing outside yourself, from food, alcohol, sex, other people, or things. If mother provided you with the mirroring you needed, applauding and rewarding the developments of your skills, and confirmed your specialness, allowing you to partake in mother's strength, seeing her as an extension of yourself, then today you can validate yourself without needing to look outside yourself for confirmatory responses to bolster your self-esteem. The early relationship with mother shaped your psychic structure as you first learned through conditioning and then later learned through experience. With optimal mothering, memory traces of the pleasure of gratification became connected with a need-satisfying object person. Hopefully, when you were in organismic distress and cried, mother came to relieve the distress. Over a period of time, the accumulated experiences of baby with mother built up memory traces or images in your mind. These images are not an exact replica of the people around you then, because memory traces involve more than recall and storage. The object representations or images that were built up in your mind were a mixture of memory images, sensory, and other impressions based on experiences with mother. Because of your cognitive organization at that point and the intense emotion that was present, psychic structure was built up, object representations or memory images of self and other in interaction. What you internalize then affects how you see yourself and others today. The next pivotal phase in your development was reached during the separation individuation phase of reapproachment. It was then, when you were 24 to 36 months of age, that object constancy developed. With object constancy, you became able to hold a stable image of mother in your mind, even when she wasn't there or was frustrating you. If there were enough good experiences between you and mother, they enabled you to recall good feelings, even when mother was absent or seriously disappointing you. Before object constancy, mother is seen as all good or all bad. When the good mother object representation or image was evoked in you when mother met your needs, it felt as if the bad, frustrating mother didn't exist. When mother wasn't there for you and the bad mother object representation was evoked, it was as if the good mother representation or image had been destroyed. If this split persists in adult life, you might see your partner as all good and idealize him or her, then see him or her as all bad if he or she lets you down, and maybe end the relationship. Likewise, if there is the splitting that precedes object constancy, you might one day see yourself as superior when you live up to your expectations and worthless when you don't. Love might be the affect accompanying the good self, good object relationship unit, when your expectations are met. Anger or hate or rage might be the affect accompanying the bad self, bad object relationship unit, when your expectations are not met. Good and bad people become separate depending on whether you're frustrated or gratified. This changes with object constancy. With object constancy, a more stable sense of self and other, independent of different situations and affect, arises. Now mother can be seen as good even if she is temporarily away or disappointing, because a positive image of mother is retained. The ability to combine pleasant and unpleasant feelings about the same person comes with the neurophysiologic ability to remember and form internal images, and from having a sufficient number of good experiences with mother. As you learn to form more constant images of others, you also learn to form more constant images of yourself. The process of object constancy fosters the growth of individuality, knowing who you are and what you want, helping you to become more goal-oriented, more able to persist in tasks and delay gratification. But what if things don't go right? What if the first months of life your needs were not met and you grow up feeling the basic trauma of being unloved? Then unconsciously, especially in your family, you might activate destructive interactions in the present to heal the pain from the past. You might form relationships on the basis of role responsiveness, unconsciously seeking out others with whom you can enact the internal object relationships from your past. An important defense mechanism that lets you do this is projective identification. In projective identification, one person attributes a feeling, an idea, or an unwanted part of himself to another. Self then sees the characteristics or feelings as belonging to the other rather than self. In this way, self unconsciously gets rid of unwanted parts or feelings. It's not me who wants to steal from you. You want to steal from me. It's not I who are angry at you. You are angry at me. If the transaction ends there, we have projection. But often, we project things into people who take on what we are projecting because of their own object relations representations. For instance, in a very painful part of his past, a husband may have been treated by his father as grossly incompetent. Later, in an unconscious attempt to re-experience the traumatized self in relation to another person object, to heal the self by finding a different experience from the original one, to turn a passive stance into an active one, the husband may marry a woman who unconsciously is receptive to the role he wants to play out with her. Now, in the new intimate relationship of husband and wife, he projects the unwanted part of himself, his incompetence, into her. This allows the husband to distance himself from that part, and hence alter his perception of himself. The wife may feel pressured to accept the projection and may be changed by it because of her own mental structure. Now the husband and wife have been changed by the transaction. He seems more competent, she less. Then maybe he dies, and all of a sudden the family marvels at how quickly mom gets on top of things, how truly competent she is once dad is out of the picture. Questions for self-analysis. Are you reliving your past through your current relationships? Are you projecting painful parts of yourself from your past onto others, or feelings you don't accept in yourself? In the past, did you accept an identity to fulfill parental expectations? Parents often project their best or worst traits on their children. Which parts of yourself can you attribute to the demands and expectations of your parents? Are there parts of yourself that you had to repress or put out of consciousness to live up to the demands of parents? When you notice something you particularly hate in someone else, ask yourself if this characteristic is a part of yourself that you don't accept. Have you had enough satisfying relationships in the past to trust today? Do you look for affirmation outside yourself? Can you contain your own pain, or do you try to soothe it with food, drugs, or sex? Do you vacillate between seeing yourself as superior or inferior, all good or all bad? Are you filled with rage when someone you need to be an extension of yourself, not a separate person with wants and needs of their own, doesn't fulfill your expectations?